Hello, and welcome to round 2 of the Parenting Roundabout podcast for the week of October 25th. I'm Terry Morrow, and I'm here with Catherine Haleko.
Hello.
Usually on this podcast, we talk about parenting issues, but once a week, Catherine and I like to get together to discuss TV, movies, books, and other entertainment topics, because it's nice to talk about something other than parenting for a change. This week, we continued with our 2 half-hour streaming comedies, one set in a fantasy version of New York City and the other in a fantasy version of London. That's what we want, though. We don't really want to see. No, I guess if you want to see the nitty-gritty, there's plenty of shows for that, too.
Yes.
But I'm cool with everything being neat and pretty.
Mm-hmm.
But Ted Lasso, season 1, episode 6, was titled Two Aces. And like the episode before it, a little bit bittersweet there.
Mm-hmm.
I can't go out on a note of triumph. Really? We can't? Come on. But the beginning of it, Ted was all discombobulated because of what happened at the end of the previous episode with his wife. And took him a while to get his feet under him. And then he does this wonderful, amazing, fantastic team building exercise that is extremely successful. And then Rebecca kind of ruins it.
Yes.
Do we think that she did that on purpose or that she truly thought that's what he wanted? So is she back to the dark side now?
I mean, I think that she's always been teetering, on the dark side. And I think that, yes, she's still there.
Because it seemed like she was kind of coming over to the light there. She did come for the big curse lifting, burning of things.
Yes.
But then she left early, and then she did this thing, which, and after he really did bring Jamie around. He finally got to Jamie. He truly, really did. He was a decent human being for the first time since this show started. You can see where he's coming from. And then she allows him to go back to the place where they had loaned him from. So,
but there's a new character. There's a new player
who's like, somebody did call him like a golden retriever puppy, right? That's basically what his vibe is.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember, what is the name?
Dani Rojas.
Dani Rojas.
Yes. He keeps saying it when he
Football
arrives
is
on
life.
The scene.
He's adorable.
Yes.
And hilarious. It was, interesting getting from both Jamie and Roy sort of what being part of the sport from when you are an unformed person does to you.
Mm-hmm.
So that was also kind of a little bit of bittersweetness, but they were both sort of moving beyond it.
Right.
And before we recorded this, we were talking about the fact that we were surprised that Ted did not appear to throw anything into the curse-ending bonfire of precious objects.
Right.
And I really expected that he would throw his wedding ring in, although that would probably be a foolish thing, but still something about his life with his wife I thought he was going to throw in so he could move beyond it. I don't think that happened. Was I like taking a sip of coffee and just missed it? It didn't happen.
I missed it too. If they did it, I did think it was an unusual choice to not show what he did because, his whole thing is team building and participating in this kind of stuff.
I don't think Coach Beard put anything in either.
I mean, I'm sure they both did, but they just didn't show it.
That seems odd. Maybe later on we'll hear what they put in, but I would have expected them to do it. Yeah. But I also enjoyed the bit at the pub when the entire team was at the pub and the I guess she's the owner was kind of holding forth.
Yes.
She's a very enjoyable character.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little dollop of her every week.
Yes. Is
something that I'm enjoying.
Definitely.
And even Higgins was sort of getting nods of approval. And Keely is working her way in, doing research on all the players.
Going on the treadmill next to Roy in her
heels. That was hilarious. Yes. And Sam appears to be kind of stepping up and doing doing team building things, including to go see the boss.
Right. Sam was the one who
is also adorable.
Yes, he's the one who talked Rebecca into coming to their bonfire
and
ceremony.
Very, very smoothly handled her, I think. You know, was just sort of Ted Lasso positive in, you know, turning down. She assumed that he meant something different, and he discouraged that in the most positive and, you know, uplifting way. You must get those offers all the time. I understand why you would be confused. So that's very cute. The bit about Rebecca's ex-husband dating somebody else named Rebecca, and how she assumed that the new person would be called the new Rebecca, but no, instead she's the old Rebecca. That is just so true. And also, oof.
Right. And Keely knowing
injury.
Keely knowing exactly how that would land and wanting to be there to console her, but not to be the one who told her that that's what had happened, which is in fact what she had to do.
Unfortunate timing there, ma'am.
Yes.
Oh dear. So once again, an enjoyable episode that I, was, engrossed in the whole way through. But can we get back to happy, triumphy stuff? It's sad is kind of leaving me, especially when it ends on a sad note.
And seeing Ted like basically angry that you've never seen that before. I mean, he's very upset at what happens with Jamie, and he's mad. I mean, he's actually like he wasn't mad at all the other things that Jamie did, and he was just like he had a plan and he stuck with his plan, and he's pretty mad right now.
Still gave her cookies, but in an angry way.
Yes, but then he did let slip that he baked them himself.
Right. Well, somehow I feel that we have not seen the last of Jamie. If it's old Jamie, he can stay at Manchester forever. If it's new Jamie, who is saying, who is truly part of the team, he can come back. That'd be fine.
We shall see.
Anyway, not coming back, we're pretty sure, is Tim Kono, who remains dead on only murders in the building. But
that's right.
We got to know Oscar a little better. We got a little bit more of Mabel's backstory. We met Mabel's mom. Hey, Andy Gonzalez, nice to see you. And the podcast has gotten a little wind under its sails because what's her name, Cinda, made fun of them on Jimmy Fallon. Nothing you can't buy that kind of publicity.
Exactly.
I was pretty sure Nathan Lane was going to be happy, even though they seemed to feel he was going to be upset that his brand got mentioned on the Tonight Show for no outlay on his part. That's terrific.
There is no regret there for sure.
No, that was awesome. So what did we find out? We found out that Tim was trying to locate a piece of jewelry that is in the picture of the four of them on the night Zoe died on Zoe's finger. But nobody seems to
longer
remember.
On her finger.
It was,
after she died.
Right. And in doing this, he was working with some sort of stolen jewelry person named Angel. And Nathan Lane has a variety of angel-related things. So now they think it's him. So I'm going to guess that's a red herring.
Yeah, it's
also because
people who obvious one.
People who fund Broadway productions, even as misbegotten Broadway productions as Oliver's, are called angels, right?
Right.
So that's what I figured that was about. But, it'll make for another good week. Probably more likely than Sting, but still very unlikely. And then we got to meet lots of new people this week. we had many little segments with the police detective who sort of wrote this off as a suicide early on, but her wife has been listening to the podcast and kind of gets her thinking about it again. And then she notes various irregularities when she goes back over the paperwork.
Right.
Not instigated by her, just stuff that it appears somebody in the police department wants the investigation to not go any further. Right. So she mailed Mabel Tim Kono's phone. She brought it. She left it at the front desk for Mabel. So she's sort of prodding on the investigation now.
She felt that she couldn't, like reopen it or, follow up on it in an official way. So she decided to let the podcasters handle it.
Absolutely. This is the way we do things now. Mm-hmm. Welcome to 2021. And what else did we learn this week?
I mean, it's
that Oliver will eat hummus, even if it's out of code. Yes. But we knew that, just as Mabel did.
Exactly. Yeah. And just that all was basically forgiven between Oliver and Charles and Mabel in a very short amount of time.
Right. Especially aided by the fact that they had just gotten $50,000 from Nathan Lane that they would have to tear up if they had to stop the podcast. So that will soothe over a lot of hurts.
Yes.
If they don't have to rip up the check.
Although she's never really said why she did this.
Yes.
But, and I'm not even sure she actually apologized, but
she's still a little bit mysterious, but that's okay. And unfortunately, it looks like from IMDb, we do not see Mandy Gonzalez again. So she's not going back home, I guess. But nice to see her gainfully employed.
Yes, for one episode.
And so I'm continuing to enjoy it.
When they talked about the ring or the piece of jewelry that Tim was looking for, I thought it was going to be that big diamond ring that they had found at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, that's right. So. I keep forgetting about that. Well, that was somebody had sent that to him, right?
Right.
So, but apparently maybe somebody thought that's what he was looking for, but it's not, or so many questions.
Also, it's unclear to me, all these jewels and all this jewelry that, that Mabel has that she took from his apartment. Are they real? Are they actually of value, or are they sort of costumey fake stuff? I don't know.
Yeah. Lots of questions that I don't really care so much about, but presumably they will come to mean something eventually.
Yes.
We shall see.
It's nice, the 10 half-hour episodes. It's like a mini series. It's handy. It's just
perfect.
Fun and
and we're past the halfway point now.
That's right.
It still doesn't seem possible to me that they have been recording everything that goes on and releasing it as a podcast, because wouldn't people be suing them? I mean, I don't know how things work in the big time world of true crime podcasts. You can't just be going and accusing people of something. Can you? Maybe you can.
No, it seems unlikely.
It seems like people at their level probably oughtn't to be doing that. They should be changing names. They shouldn't be just recording conversations and putting them out as a podcast. But,
especially when they make accusations with the thinnest of clues and evidence.
But you know what? You accuse Sting on your podcast and you get mentioned on The Tonight Show. So
that worked out.
All comes around. Yep. Yep. So good for them. These are all things for which I am just perfectly happy to suspend disbelief.
Yes.
I don't really care. The less they mention it, the better. It's just when they do mention it and I go, they're playing some of it and you hear it and it's what? Wait, how?
Yeah, it's just a plot device, for
it really is
for these little mentions, or for the police officer's wife to hear it, for Oliver's son to be able to tell them about Mabel.
Yes.
For Jimmy Fallon to be hear about it. So
get them some more money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. I was listening to the Writers Panel podcast, and they had the co-creator and showrunner of this show on, whose name I should look up right now because otherwise it's not very nice. Okay, his name is John Hoffman, and he created it with Steve Martin. And he was mentioning that one of his inspirations was that he had a friend from long ago who was in a murder-suicide situation, and they believed that he had killed this other person and then himself. And Hoffman was saying that it just didn't seem right to him, and so he had actually gone back to, I think it was his hometown maybe, and kind of started investigating this thing, and found out eventually that in fact his friend had been the victim, and the other person had killed him and then killed themselves. Wow. So that was he sort of had that as an idea of something to do a TV show around. And then this thing came up, and it's certainly much more comedic than one would expect, but that it does really inform the Mabel story, that this was something that sort of happened to him, and he felt driven to see justice. So, obviously Oscar is ready to move on, but Mabel's got to see it through.
Right.
So it kind of put an interesting spin on it for me, that it wasn't just that they just kind of came up with any mystery, but it was something that had some resonance.
Right.
For the writer and the character. For the audience, it's a device, but enjoyable one. Yeah. Still liking watching it. Interesting that they bring in completely different people every episode. Right. It's like, there's only 10 episodes here. How many characters do we need to introduce? But I certainly enjoyed meeting the police detective to a little greater extent, and her wife. They had some sweet scenes.
And I don't know if you noticed, but the reason the wife was listening to the podcast was because she had heard about it from the yard dogs, which are the guys who picked them up and gave them a ride in the previous.
Oh, really? Oh, I did not. I heard that, and I thought I'm probably supposed to know what that refers to, but I thought it was a real life thing. But it was, yes, that was good. What a nice little connection.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. So she's one of their 7 downloads before they got to.
Right. Before they got onto Jimmy Fallon. Mm-hmm.
Well, next week we will continue on, because honestly, how can we stop at this point? No. With season 1, episode 7 of Only Murders in the Building, which is titled The Boy from 6B, and also Ted Lasso, an episode called Make Rebecca Great Again. So perhaps she doesn't come back to the light. Come back from the dark side, Rebecca. And that's going to be it for our round 2 today. Please subscribe to our Parenting Roundabout podcast so you won't miss any of our episodes. We have something new for you every weekday. As always, you can find recaps, links, and an opportunity to comment on our website at parentingroundabout.com. Goodbye, Catherine.
Bye, Terry.
Goodbye, everybody.